I'm excited tonight to have brought on Catharine Arnston. Catharine, what have you done so far for your health and performance today?
Yeah, well, I'm the founder and CEO of ENERGYbits, which is an algae company, algae tablet company, and I'm as much a customer as anybody. And so a non-negotiable for me is starting my day with my algae tablets, the Spirulina and the Chlorella. Before I even have those, though, I have a couple of glasses of fresh water with fresh squeezed lemon. And then I have a hot drink of yerba mate, which is like a green tea, except it has more antioxidants. Then I do my chlorella and spirulina. And I always have done about a 20-minute sort of meditation, but now I do my meditation while I'm doing some red light therapy. So, and then I do about 20 minutes of stretching, sometimes at the tail end of the red light therapy. So that's my routine every morning. And I do almost the same thing at night, except I don't use the red light therapy at night, but everything else is the same in reverse.
Wow, twice a day.
Yep.
Good for you. What got you into algae in the first place?
Well, it's an interesting thing. I wasn't planning to be here, although I'm now considered the country's expert on algae nutrition. I have an MBA. I'm actually Canadian, and my MBA was in international business. I live in Boston. I've been here for 33 years, although I lived in Manhattan for a couple of years before that. But I was having a reasonably successful corporate career. And then 13 years ago, my younger sister in Canada, who I'm very close to, developed breast cancer. Now, I just want to assure everybody she's fine. She survived. But when she was preparing for her chemotherapy, her oncologist recommended that she change her diet to an alkaline diet because they said it would help with her healing. Now, they didn't tell her what an alkaline diet was or why it was good for her. So when she got home, the first call she made was to me, her big sis, who of course loves her. And I'm a very good researcher. I can find out anything. And I said, I have no idea what this alkaline diet stuff is, but I will find out. And it turned out to be a plant-based diet because of the chlorophyll and the phytonutrients that have been proven for hundreds of years, at least 100 years, to build your immune system. So I researched a bunch of foods for her to eat and the ones to not eat. She did go through chemo and she completely healed. Now, this was 13 years ago. And I know it's hard to believe, but 13 years ago, nobody was talking about plant-based nutrition. Now it's common knowledge and it's everywhere. Yeah. But so after reading about 10 books and 200 articles on plant-based nutrition and saw the power of green nutrition for people's health, and nobody was talking about it, I thought, man, someone needs to tell the world about this. So I decided, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I gave up my corporate career and I went back to school. I got a health coaching certificate at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City. And then after I graduated, I taught plant-based nutrition for a year. And that's when my epiphany about algae really, truly happened. Because as I was teaching people the importance of vegetables, I realized I wasn't telling them anything that their mothers hadn't been telling them for years. But what I did find out is that even though everyone knew they should eat more greens and knew they should eat more vegetables, it was just too much work. There were too many obstacles. They're heavy to carry home from the grocery store. Maybe you don't live near a grocery store. They take a lot of room in your fridge. They take a lot of time to clean, to cook, to eat. So as much as people wanted to, they just weren't able to. So I thought, okay, I have to find something that's fast, easy, green, nutrient dense that I can get into people so they can get the benefits of plant-based nutrition without any work. Once again, I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I was motivated to do it. So I just went back to everything I found for my sister and did a deeper dive on all the science, and nothing was working. I went through 5, 6, 7 things, and then boom, I got to algae. That's when the miracle happened, because it turns out that algae is the most alkaline food in the world. And we're going to talk a little bit about alkalinity in a minute. And that's what got me started on this process. It also has the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world, which is also a key attribute for healing your body. It is the most nutrient-dense food in the world, and that's not just my opinion. NASA says algae has 1,000 times more nutrients than any other fruit or vegetable. It's been endorsed by the United Nations since 1974. Because it has 3 times the amount of protein as steak and as a sustainable crop. Yes, algae is not a supplement. It is a food crop. We'll talk about that in a minute too. And it's been studied almost 100 years. There's over 100,000 studies in the medical libraries around the world, including the NIH library, about the benefits, healing benefits, nutritional benefits, sports performance benefits of algae, except all the scientists talk to one another. They don't talk to consumers, so none of this knowledge has made its way out to the public. And then it's also been used for centuries. The Egyptians wrapped themselves in algae for longevity and beauty. The Japanese take it every single day. They take chlorella algae every single day for health, wellness, beauty. And it's a multi-billion, that's with a B, billion-dollar agricultural crop there because it's used by everybody every day. So when I saw all the nutrient value, the chlorophyll, the alkalinity, the nutrient density, and it seemed that the only thing wrong with algae is that nobody in North America knew about it, and the quality was poor because most of it came from China. But I decided that this was the answer because, and we're going to talk about this later too, we sell algae in tiny tablets that you can swallow or chew or add as a smoothie if you want. But each tiny tablet, that's the size of a baby aspirin, has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables, except you didn't have to buy them, clean them, cook them, or eat them. And so in mere seconds, you, your children, your parent, your kids, your husband will get all the plant-based nutrition that you need without any work. It is effortless. So that's the excitement I have about algae, is that I know if I can get proper nutrition into them using algae as the base, and because it's so simple, there's no reason why nobody would not take this. I mean, it's just the easiest, simplest thing and science-based. So I decided 11 years ago I would devote the rest of my life to helping people understand algae and making it simple and safe and pure for them to take. So that brought me here. And I will say it's been a long road because people here didn't know anything about algae, but I remind people, a few years ago, you didn't know about chia seed or matcha or kiwa, or even 20 years ago, we didn't know about stevia. We didn't know recently about collagen or CBD. And these are things that have been around for centuries in other countries. So I'm just the one that's making algae understandable, safe and pure. And, my dream is in 5 or 10 years, it will be as normal to people here as it is in Asia.
To give my listeners some backstory, I first came across algae through Catharine a number of years ago, and I was blown away by that fact that it has the same nutrition in one tablet as an entire salad. But it wasn't on the radar when you're researching it. At least it wasn't in the mainstream radar. How did you go about finding this? Were you combing through PubMed, surfing the NIH website? How did you come across it?
Everything. Well, and just reading books that, you go into these deep rabbit holes when you're researching anything, because you have to remember, I didn't come from a science background. So here I was reading all these nutrients. And I mean, I did get 1 year from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, but it was more on health coaching. So it wasn't, I don't have a PhD in nutrition or physiology, although I certainly feel I can talk to any PhD toe to toe because I've had 11 years now and I feel I've got a PhD in algae. But so it took me an extra long time because when I would read a fact, because I'm very fact oriented and science oriented, and I need to be buttoned up because if I'm doing this, it's my life and people are trusting me, I would have to cross-reference 10 or 15 other documents until I go, okay, I guess that fact is true. And then I would go on to the next one. And then every time you check a fact, you get scientific references. I have collected over the years probably links to about 3,000 of the 100,000 scientific references. And that's just scratching the surface. It's funny because I was on Shark Tank a while ago and Mark Cuban said to me, well, quote me a science document that proves that algae does all this stuff. And I paused to answer him because I was thinking, okay, which one of the 3,000 links that I know of should I tell him about? And he completely misunderstood my pause. When I paused, he thought I didn't know anything. And I was pausing because I knew too much. And, this is the problem. So I'm the chief scientific officer here as well. And so what I'm proud to say is that I have read myself thousands of articles and I have rewritten about 500, condensed them to make and to pull out the one or two nuggets. Because, if you've read any of these scientific journals or publications in the NIH, I mean, they go on 20 or 30 pages, and there's probably 5 pages of scientific references and all kinds of documents and diagrams, and it's complicated. And if you don't have a PhD in either biochemistry or any of this stuff, it's very hard to understand. So I try to do all the heavy lifting, and it's actually worked to my benefit that I didn't have a science background, because I know what it feels like not to understand what you're reading. So I go to great lengths to make fun, kind of simplistic, maybe oversimplistic, but still simplistic analogies to help people understand the big picture of algae. And I'm motivated because algae has been used for over 100 years, and people in Asia and Japan have been benefiting from it. By the way, the Japanese have the best longevity, the lowest cancer rates, and I might add, great skin and hair, and they take this every day. We know it works, and the science shows it works, but somebody had to take the bull by the horns and hunker down to help people here understand it in terms that they could relate to. It's all grown in Asia, so a very small amount is actually sold here, and they're just not motivated. The market's not big enough. They've got a big enough market there. So that was my job. And while we're talking about growing it, I want to show you. This is an algae farm. I'm showing Nick a picture of a spirulina farm. You have to understand, algae is not a supplement. Supplements are made in factories with high heat, with extracts that your body can't recognize or absorb. Because algae is a food, a crop, it's grown hydroponically in fresh water. So that's the other point, not from the ocean, although there is algae in the ocean. But Spirulina and Chlorella are grown hydroponically in shallow ponds, and then we air dry it and press it into tablets. So it's no different than kale or broccoli or tomatoes that are grown in water, but it's other than the fact that it's got 1,000 times more nutrition. So I like to show people the picture of the algae farm, because you can't find a supplement farm anywhere, but you can certainly find algae farms. And just to make a point, even the government, the US government, is realizing how sustainable and eco-friendly and nutrient-dense algae is, and that it's all grown in Asia. So in 2019, in the Farm Bill, the White House passed the very first Algae Agricultural Act to provide grants and funds to American farmers to grow it here, just like they provide funds and grants to grow other crops like soy or wheat or whatever. So the era of algae has arrived. It's still very new, but if we have time, I'll talk to you a little bit about how some very big companies like Unilever, Reebok, Gore-Tex, I mean, this is going to be the biggest transitional and beneficial food of the future. So I encourage people, once you've heard me and checked out our website at ENERGYbits.com, please do some additional research. You'll find, like I did, there are tens of thousands of studies that you didn't know about. And so there's lots of knowledge available for you, and you might as well start learning, because it's going to be everywhere, within the next 10 years.
Like I said, Catharine turned me on to algae, and since discovering it, I've been taking it virtually every day. When I travel, it's one of the few supplements I bring with me everywhere because of the wide variety of benefits. But I have to ask you, when you say that it has the same nutritional content of a salad, are you referring to vitamins, minerals, microRNA, antioxidants? In what way?
Everything. And actually, I refer to it as a plate of vegetables, because a salad could be just lettuce, and there's not a lot of nutrition in that. So that's not a big enough challenge. When I'm talking a plate of vegetables, we're talking broccoli and kale and red peppers and green peppers. I actually I'll show you another visual. So it's everything. And again, it's not me making this statement. This is, an institution called NASA, and they fed it to the astronauts for 50 years. So if you don't have time for all to make yourself a plate of vegetables, or, really nutrient dense salad, or maybe you have digestive issues, or maybe you just don't like salads or lettuce or greens or vegetables, that tiny little tablet has the same vitamin K, beta carotene, calcium, magnesium, potassium, protein, chlorophyll. There's 40 vitamins and minerals in algae. And so
wow.
The density is just off the charts. And that's why NASA not only feeds us the astronauts, it's the first thing that they say they want to grow in space because it also releases oxygen. So when you're in space, obviously you need to generate oxygen. Our bag of algae tablets, there's 1,000 tablets in there. So I did the math and found out that it has the equivalent of 551 pounds of vegetables. And at $3 a pound, that would have cost you $1,500. So it's very efficient nutrition. Not only is it efficient in terms of its density, it has almost 99% bioavailability. This is critical because it's not just what you eat, it's what you absorb. And if you have leaky gut, or if you have difficulties with digestive issues, you're not absorbing very well. But because algae, first of all, the protein is already in amino acids. They have all the branch chain aminos. It has 18 of the 20 aminos, so it's a complete protein. So there's no work for your body to break down the protein to get access to it. This is why when we first started, we became a sports nutrition company, because the triathletes and the marathon runners and the Olympic athletes found out about us. And they found out it not only gave them energy and focus, it did not upset their stomach. If anybody's listening who's an athlete, especially an endurance athlete, you know all those sugary drinks and snacks will give you stomach distress, gut pain, diarrhea. This does none of that because it gets absorbed so quickly. And of course, there's no sugar or carbs in it. So it's an amazing nutrient density. And I'm not saying this at the top of my head. Again, the fact that the United Nations endorsed it as the answer to world hunger because it has 64% protein by weight. So it has 3 times the amount of protein as steak, chicken, fish. Even the Netflix movie Seaspiracy endorsed algae in the movie as the answer to protecting the ocean, because the commercial fishing is destroying the ocean ecosystem because so many people want omega-3 from the fish oil, or they want fish. And guess where the fish get the omega-3 from? They get it from algae. So you take algae, you save the fish. By the way, almost all fish oil goes rancid after a month, so it's not doing what you think it's doing. And algae never goes rancid, it never goes bad either. So it's a much more efficient way to get either your omega-3 from spirulina, or even if you don't want to be, if you want to contribute to the sustainability issues, algae is the most sustainable crop in the world.
Yeah, I've cut back on my consumption of krill oil because I'm concerned with the quality of it. I interviewed a man named Eric Levy, and he talked about the process of getting fish oil from the ocean into your hands and all the opportunities for oxidation and problems along the way.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's so unfortunate that people don't understand that. There's so many things that go on behind the scenes in our food supply that people just are so unaware of. And I hate to beat up on collagen, but the reality is it's made from ground up bones. And sustainability is one of the top issues in our world right now. And there is nothing sustainable about using a product that's made of animal bones or fish bones. Algae has the same nutrients as collagen. In fact, it's better because if you know anything about collagen, its collagen powder is made of peptides, which are clusters of aminos. Animal protein is the string of aminos. Peptides are smaller. There's 3 of them, or 3 smaller clusters. But guess what? Algae is individual aminos. So it's much easier to absorb. And not only does it have the same protein, it also gives you chlorophyll and all these other 40 vitamins and minerals that you can't find in collagen. And it's sustainable. So,
speaking of absorption, for people that can't eat large quantities or specific vegetables, say broccoli, because of the different compounds in them, are there any anti-nutrients in algae?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because I'm a big fan of Stephen Gundry. In fact, I was on his podcast and I've read his book. And he points out, even though most of us in the plant-based world love encouraging people to eat more vegetables, there are issues that you need to be aware of. There are things like oxalates in spinach, and phytic acid in nightshade vegetables, and almonds, very high amount of phytates in almonds. And phytates are very sharp proteins that can puncture the lining of your stomach and which allows food to enter into your bloodstream and causes autoimmune. This is one of the main reasons that you get autoimmune. And by the way, phytates, because I had this issue myself, interfere with the body's ability to absorb iron. This is a big issue for women in particular. And I used to chow down a ton of almonds all the time. And then I realized it was interfering with my ability to absorb iron. So back to your question. The reason why plants have these oxalates and phytates is as they evolved over millions of years, they had to fend off predators, bugs and animals. And so they developed these little chemical compounds that are called phytates and oxalates that are like poison to them. So they're growing in the land and the animals and bugs would stay away. Well, guess what? Algae didn't start in the land. It started in the ocean. It started in water. And so it has never had to develop phytates or oxalates to defend itself. So it is basically free of any antioxidants or any anti-nutrients like oxalates and phytates. And that's why Dr. Gundry is such a big fan of ours. It's very safe. In fact, spirulina in particular is so safe and so easily absorbed because it is technically a bacteria. We'll talk about the two different algae in a minute. Spirulina is a bacteria, has no cellulose wall, which is why it gets absorbed so quickly into your bloodstream. But it's so safe that in both of them, that in Japan, when babies cannot digest mother's breast milk when they are born, this is the only thing that keeps them alive. They put it in water, and it has virtually the same amino acid profile as mother's breast milk. So
Wow.
that's quite a testament. And I remind people that algae, particularly spirulina, was the first life on Earth almost 4 billion years ago, and there's fossils to prove it. And it was a gift to us from Mother Nature. So I consider algae almost like Mother Nature's breast milk for us. And we know that breast milk is the nature's perfect food. And so spirulina and chlorella are number 2.
Not far behind. Now let's shift gears. Let's explain the different types of algae and how spirulina and chlorella differ from what I would find on the beach, for example.
Right. Well, first of all, let me help people understand what algae is. It's its own food group because it's not, as I mentioned, technically a vegetable, and it's not a fruit. So it's its own food category. And there's two main subcategories. One I would call a macroalgae, and the other one is microalgae. We're going to be digging into microalgae, but let me tell you first what macroalgae is. So it's that big stringy stuff that you see washing up on shore, also known as kelp, seaweed, dulse, and it's lots of fiber, lots of iodine because it comes from the ocean, but it's virtually has zero nutrients. It also has 0 calories. So there's lots of great companies that are making kelp noodles so that you can use them instead of pasta. So it's a great addition to salads or soups or have them instead of pasta, but there's 0 nutrition, virtually 0, but it still has great fiber and iodine. So microalgae is what we're talking about. And it's called microalgae because something like 100 cells could fit on the head of a pin. It's microscopic in size. And microalgae is everywhere. It's in the oceans, the lakes, the rivers, the soil, your swimming pool, your aquarium. Now, there's tens of thousands of strains of microalgae. Almost all of them are poisonous to humans. The only two that are currently, the two big ones that are currently harvested as food crops are spirulina and chlorella. Now, these are sold by everyone from Target to us. So these are the ones that everybody pretty much knows about. But they're grown, again, I want to emphasize they are grown in fresh water. They are not wild in the ocean, which it makes it much safer because you can control the conditions. So spirulina is a blue-green algae and chlorella is a green algae. I'll show you a picture of some tablets. So the reason why chlorella, spirulina is called a blue-green algae is because it has 2 pigments in it, a blue one and a green one. Chlorella is a green algae and only has 1 pigment. I don't know if you can see this, but this is spirulina. It's a darker color, and this is chlorella. It's a green color. So that blue pigment is called phycocyanin. It has lots of healing properties that I'm not sure if we have time to go into, but again, science-based. It's been proven to stop the growth of blood vessels to tumors. It's called anti-angiogenesis. And it's also been proven to intercept the COVID virus because it sits on what's called your receptor cells and prevents it from entering the receptor cell. So, but we're not going to dig into that. Spirulina is well known for providing energy and focus and satisfying hunger. And that's because it has, again, the highest concentration of protein in the world, all is in amino acids, very high amount of B vitamins. B vitamins convert the aminos into energy. It's known as a vasodilator. It releases nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels so the blood and nutrients and oxygen can flow to your body and your brain. Very high in essential fatty acids, including omega-3, which is really great for your brain thought, high in boron, 40 other vitamins and minerals. And as I mentioned, it gets absorbed almost instantly because it has no cellulose wall to break down. So, you know, spirulina is a hard name to say, to spell. So because it gives you energy, we called our spirulina ENERGYbits. Now, the interesting thing is I found after a couple of years of running the company, women just weren't attracted to the packaging or the name of spirulina. And because the high protein and high antioxidants also build your skin and hair, so I made a second brand of spirulina called ENERGYbits. They're absolutely identical. And somebody said, oh, you got a boy spirulina and a girl spirulina. So pretty much. So anyways, spirulina has been used by Olympic athletes, including us. We have 50 endorsements you can visit on our website, hockey players, NHL players. As I said, it gives you lots of great energy. And the athletes are always surprised by the focus that they get from it. You know, when you're running a long marathon or you're doing a hard workout or you're a professional, one of the first things that goes when you're fatigued is your focus. And it's a downhill, slippery slope after that. But because the combination of the boron and the iron, which carries oxygen, and the vasodilator, it really retains your focus. And then we have a lot of people that use it for intermittent fasting because it's ketogenic. It's not just vegan. It has 0 carbs in it. And we've done tests and we've been to conferences where people do with Keto Mojo, they do their test of their glucose and their ketones, and they have some algae, and then they come back a half an hour and test again. 0 change. If anything, the glucose levels go down. So it's really good for, you were mentioning people that have dietary restrictions. We work with a lot of doctors their patients have their stomach stapled and they can't eat a lot of food, but they also are challenged because they can't get the nutrients they need. So this helps them. It's very efficient nutrition. We sell them in single serving sizes so that you can take them with you when you travel, little pouches of 30, whatever. It works with every dietary group, whether you're paleo, keto, vegan, low carb, low sugar, because there's 0 sugar. And it's just a really concentrated source of protein and nutrients. So that's spirulina, a blue-green algae that satisfies your hunger, gives you energy and focus. Now, I just want to prepare people. The energy that you're going to get isn't anything like lightning bolts from the sky, because this is not a sugary coated, caffeine loaded. Oh, I like that too. This is just nutrition, okay? So the best way to describe how you'll feel is fresh. That's it. You might not even notice it. But what you will notice if you take it before a workout is that you probably ran faster or further, or you lifted more, but you didn't have to exert yourself. It just came effortlessly. And the amount that you can take, I mean, you could take 2 or 3 tablets a day and still benefit, because remember, you're still getting the equivalent nutrition of, in that case, 3 plates of vegetables. If you want a great workout, though, we would encourage you to take closer to 10 or 15 or even 20 or 30. Our Olympic athletes, our elite athletes, they take at least 30 before a triathlon. Our NHL players put 75 spirulina in their smoothie before a game, and they put 75 chlorella. We'll talk about chlorella in a minute. After the game to pull out lactic acid. I personally eat at least 100, 150 sometimes a day of chlorella. I love the stuff. I live on it. So there's no upper limit, just like you can't have too many vegetables. Spirulina is, again, known for fast absorption, 0 carbs, great energy and focus, and also helps with weight loss for that reason, if you want it.
I use it the same way. I'll have 15 to 20 tablets before I work out. Yeah. And because of the essential amino acid content of it, I don't need to take a dedicated essential amino like isolate supplement. It comes naturally and therefore is probably absorbed better. And also it, like you said, increases nitric oxide in the body, It reduces the need to take something like citrulline malate or one of those other isolated supplements. And for endurance athletes, because of the essential aminos in it, if you struggle with bonking after mile 15 or hour 4 on a bike, it can be a great solution.
Yeah, we've had people do VO2 testing as well, because the high iron increases your ability to carry oxygen. And because it's so alkaline, it preserves the shape and robustness of your hemoglobin to carry the oxygen. As you know, lactic acid is acidic, and what it does is it strips off the negative charge around the hemoglobin so they clump, and that interferes with its ability to carry oxygen or get to the tiny capillaries. But because the algae is alkaline, it constantly preserves that relationship. So you are, and we actually were just talking to somebody today in Colorado, because it really helps with elevation issues. When you go to a higher elevation, people fatigue very quickly because they don't have access to as much oxygen as they're used to. That's why, in fact, the U.S. Olympic ski team is based in Park City, Utah, very high elevation. So if you're doing any climbing, hiking, skiing, this is a great way to help you maintain your energy levels at those higher elevations. So spirulina, very much a pre-workout, during workout, but also great for working or just living. And again, most people take it in the morning or afternoon or before workout, anytime you want energy or focus. But chlorella, it developed about 1 billion years after spirulina, and it is a green algae. Now, what the big claim to fame for chlorella is that it has the highest concentration of chlorophyll in the world. Remember, I said spirulina has the highest protein in the world. Chlorella has the highest chlorophyll. And unlike, again, spirulina has no cellulose wall on the exterior, chlorella has the hardest cell wall in the plant kingdom. And we'll talk about the importance of those two. So let's tackle chlorophyll first. What's so important about chlorophyll? Well, chlorophyll, two things. First of all, is the chemical composition is almost identical to your blood. I'm showing you a chart, and you can go online to see this as well. The hemoglobin cell and the chlorophyll cell are virtually identical. The only difference is that in your hemoglobin, the center atom is iron, and in chlorophyll, it's magnesium. Otherwise, they're identical. Why is that important? Because chlorophyll has been used for centuries for building blood, for helping the injured, or when, up until even including World War II, if they ran out of blood for transfusions, they would give the injured liquid chlorophyll because they would heal just as fast. Chlorophyll builds your blood, full stop. And so if you want a healthy body, a healthy immune system, healthy brain, healthy organs, you've got to have healthy blood, because that's the distribution of nutrients. And if you are missing nutrients and you don't have healthy blood or oxygenation, it's very almost impossible for your body to perform optimally. So that's number one. Number two is chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment. I'm going to show you another chart. This top picture shows spirulina in some water, and you can see this beautiful blue color. That's the phycocyanin that disperses beautifully through the water and evenly through the water. And then the other picture is of chlorella, and it of course has just the chlorophyll, and it is clumping. It's not dispersing at all like its brother spirulina. And I did this experiment probably 20 times until I finally had my epiphany, and I researched it, and it was true. So the difference is the blue pigment in spirulina is a water-based pigment. That's why it stops the growth of blood vessels to tumors, because it's a water-based interaction. But chlorophyll is a fat-based pigment, which is why it's like oil and water. It doesn't disperse through the water. But here's the really great thing about that. Your health is dependent on your cells. The cellular level is where all the action is, the mitochondria. And to keep those mitochondria healthy, you have to have healthy cell walls. How do you keep your cell walls healthy? You keep them permeable so that nutrients can get in and toxins can get out. And healthy fats do that. Ta-da! Chlorophyll is a fat. So it helps heal the cell walls. And the best way, here's one of my little simple analogies I've come up with. You know, when you have dirty windows, you can't see out and sunlight can't get in. And if it's dirty windows in your car, it's even more dangerous. So think of chlorophyll as window washers for your cell walls. It keeps everything working, happy, and clean. So those mitochondria can get the nutrients they need, which will make sure that they can generate the ATP that you need, and that those nasty ROS, reactive oxygen species, also known as free radicals, can get out. And so can all the toxins that our bodies are being bombarded with can get out. So chlorophyll is essential for keeping your health and your cells clean and operating optimally. Chlorophyll also cleans your breath. It cleans your digestion. It helps with aid digestion. And chlorella has been used for centuries for IBS and Crohn's disease. And it's a combination of the chlorophyll and the hard cell wall, which pulls out toxins, which we're going to address in a minute. And also that hard cell wall has fiber in it. And of course, we know now that fiber is important for feeding the bacteria in your gut biome so they can release what's called short chain fatty acids to keep everything in balance. And so the chlorella has the fiber in it to do that. So let's circle back to that hard cell wall. So what's so important about that hard cell wall? Well, it attaches to toxins of any kind. It doesn't matter whether it's lead, mercury, radiation, aluminum. Those of you who are getting vaccines, there's aluminum in vaccines. So be sure you take some chlorella afterwards. It pulls out, the United Nations used it at Chernobyl to pull out excess radiation after that disaster. After the Fukushima disaster a few years ago, the entire chlorella world supply was bought up within 24 hours because all the Asians know it's the only thing that pulls out radiation. We work with biological dentists who give it to their patients and who take it when they pull out their fillings. It's unbelievable. It chelates the toxin. Athletes use it because it identifies lactic acid as a toxin. So after your workout, it'll pull out the lactic acid so your muscles aren't sore. You won't have DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. It also builds your immune system. Another key issue is that, one of the things to stay healthy, whether it's COVID or not, is your immune system needs certain nutrients to build those T cells, B cells, killer cells, and they're all pretty much in the chlorella. So you don't have to run out and buy 1,000 new supplements. They're already all there, and it's complements of Mother Nature, and they work harmoniously like a beautiful orchestra of nutrition to build your immune system and give it what it needs to operate. And one of the things you're going to love about one of the other toxins it identifies is alcohol.
There we go.
There you go. We're all going to start celebrating soon. July 4th is almost here, and we're just so glad to get out of lockdown. So it doesn't matter whether it's wine, beer, spirits. You do need the 20 to 30 tablets, though, to do the full detox. You could take 5 or 10 a day just for wellness benefits, but if you want detox and you want to not have a hangover, you need closer to the 15 or 20 or maybe even 30. But if you're like me and you like the flavor, I would not suggest you try chewing spirulina. There's nothing you can do to make that stuff taste any better. Just swallow it and be done with it. But the good news is it doesn't repeat on you like fish oil. Now, chlorella is dry because it doesn't have as much protein. It doesn't have as much essential fatty acids. So it tastes more like a soy nut or a sunflower seed. And so I eat mine with almonds, as I mentioned, or pistachios, or any kind of nut. Macadamians are the best. And so I eat it as a snack. So if you can learn to like it as a snack, it's much more enjoyable. And most people take it at night. You can take it any time of day, same with spirulina, but definitely take it before you go to bed because your body goes through a detox and repair cycle while you're sleeping. So if you have chlorella in your body, that cycle will be facilitated. Also, chlorella has the highest amount of tryptophan, and tryptophan is a precursor to melatonin and serotonin. Melatonin helps you sleep, and serotonin is your happy neurotransmitter. And it is also stimulates peristalsis. Now, if anybody's on a keto diet who's listening, that with most people don't eat fiber when they're on keto, and you get constipated. Not a pretty sight. This will eliminate that problem and will not give you any carbs. There are 0 carbs in the chlorella, same with the spirulina, 0. So it's really amazing. It has other great healing nutrients like the highest RNA and DNA in the world, which help your cells grow back healthier. It has a daily requirement of vitamin K2, which moves excess calcium out of soft tissue like your blood vessels or your skin into your bones to prevent osteoporosis. It has something called chlorella growth factor. They didn't know what to call it, so that's what they called it. Chlorella is the fastest growing organism in the world. All biofuel research has been done with chlorella because they're trying to figure out how to tap the energy when the cells divide. So when you take it, it helps your cells grow faster too. So that combined with the high, DNA, RNA, everything grows. If you're injured or sick, you just heal faster. It's amazing. I couldn't live without it. Between the combination of the spirulina for the energy and the focus, and this chlorella for pulling out toxins, building your immune system, keeping everything happy in the bathroom, and stimulating healthy cellular growth, including ATP. It's a dream come true and as easy as breathing. No work required, ladies and gentlemen. This is effortless nutrition. You want to live to be 100? This will help you get there.
One toxin I want to talk more about is alcohol specifically. I used to take activated charcoal before a night of drinking, and that way it would sop up some of the nasty compounds going through my body. And then I realized after talking to you that chlorella is a better choice.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is chlorella better than activated charcoal?
The trouble is it pulls the good stuff too. And, the irony is that part of your hangover is because you've lost all your electrolytes. So it pulls out magnesium, calcium, potassium. And that's the last thing you want to pull out when you're drinking. You want to put it back in. So it pulls everything out. It's sort of like chemotherapy. Chemotherapy, kills everything, not just the bad stuff. It's literally overkill. Chlorella doesn't do that. It only attaches to toxins. And it also is loaded with electrolytes. So it's a twofer, okay? But I will tell you, please don't take it before you drink. You'll be very angry with me because it clears out your blood in about an hour and a half because your blood is liquid. So it's very, it moves very quickly. You'll be sober in an hour and a half. So if you take it before you drink, you might never get a buzz because it's like a Roomba. It's just clearing out that alcohol all the time. So wait until you're finished. Wait till you're about to go home or you are at home and chow down a good 15 or 20 or more. We've had people write us to tell us we saved their bachelorette party or the trip to Las Vegas. Those are the days when people used to travel because they were the only ones that took the chlorella after their night of partying. And then I say Mother Nature had one heck of a sense of humor because she gives us spirulina to give us energy to go to the party. And then she gives us chlorella to recover after the party, and then we can do it again. So they work really, really well. Spirulina will cleanse, but will not detox.
You've talked several times about different supplements and products that algae can replace. And of course, this isn't medical advice, but if someone has a hefty supplement bill, they have a pantry full of supplements and are wondering what algae will make redundant, what can they cut?
First of all, there's no protein or chlorophyll in any supplements, so you're already getting a big bonus there. But because it's so loaded with vitamins and minerals, it can definitely replace your multivitamin. And remember, algae is food. And the difference between food and supplements is this. The supplements are made first in factories with high heat with extracts. Those extracts don't exist in nature. So they're very hard for your body to identify, absorb, and use. You end up getting about 10% of whatever's in there. That's why the numbers are so high on those supplement bottles, because the manufacturers know you're only going to absorb about 10% of it. So with algae, because it comes from nature, and because so do we, and because there's all these other things called factors and cofactors and enzymes and coenzymes that work harmoniously, just like when you go to a fabulous symphony, you can't identify necessarily one particular instrument, but they all work beautifully together to create magic. Well, that's what food does. It creates magic if you can absorb it. Problem is a lot of people can't absorb it, and our vegetables these days have virtually no nutrition in them. So algae, the numbers are smaller, but the absorption rate is higher and the integration is better. So definitely replace your multivitamin. Spirulina can also replace your fish oil or your krill oil. because of the omega-3 and another essential fatty acid called GLA, which is gamma linolenic acid, which behaves in algae like an omega-3 because, drumroll, it's not processed. At least ours isn't. We don't use high heat to dry our algae like everybody else. So it's still a raw food. So the GLA behaves like an omega-3, not like the omega-6. So let's do that again. Multivitamin for spirulina or chlorella, fish oil for sure, CoQ10. You can replace your CoQ10 because a lot of people take CoQ10 to facilitate energy at the mitochondrial level. There's something called the Krebs cycle that describes how energy is created in the mitochondria. And there's within the Krebs cycle, I'm getting geeky now, sorry about that, or maybe it's good. There's something called the electron transfer chain process where to make the ATP, you need CoQ10. And in the process, the CoQ10, which is an antioxidant, gets turned into a free radical. But chlorophyll, especially when you have either red light therapy or light, converts it, the free radical aspect of CoQ10 back into the original CoQ10 and basically recycles it. So it can replace your CoQ10. It can replace your magnesium, potassium, calcium. So there's 6 right there. And so can chlorella. The only one that chlorella couldn't replace would be the fish oil because there's virtually no omega-3 because it's much drier. But again, in both of them, you're getting the bonus of protein and the chlorophyll, which aren't in anything. Oh, if you're taking collagen, definitely replace that with either one of them because they're both very, very high. Spirulina is 64% protein. Chlorella is 60% protein. And again, you get the bonus chlorophyll and all those other vitamins and minerals. Also, if you're interested in hair health, it replaces biotin. Biotin is used to improve the keratin in your hair, but you don't need that when you have the algae because it has the same protein. Same with if you're taking any nutrients or just even creams for your skin. You know, it's a dirty little secret. A lot of women buy creams that with collagen, quote, collagen in them to help boost collagen in their skin. Well, they may work as a facial cream, but the collagen molecule is far too large to be absorbed into your skin. So there's no collagen creation going on here, ladies. It's just a marketing gimmick. You may still enjoy the facial, moisturizing aspect, but there's no collagen. The only way to get collagen into your body is by having it in your bloodstream and getting it absorbed. Or red light therapy also stimulates collagen production. So those are two, that is an external way to get that done.
What are some of the tips and biohacks you have for the folks out there who want to get more out of what they're doing? You've mentioned red light therapy and how spirulina and chlorella can potentially improve like the energy generation that comes from that. What else can you do to get more out of your algae experience?
Take it. Take it as often as you can for everything. Give it to your kids, give it to your pets. Animals love this stuff and they're smart. You can put it in your smoothie. Chlorella can be used in your salads as a garnish and trail mix. It tastes great, as I mentioned, with macadamia nuts. When we start traveling again, we're going to be lured into the terrible carb world again, sugar and carbs. It satisfies your hunger and kills cravings. I had a call the other day from a woman who was almost crying. She's, I'm trying to lose weight and I can't get rid of my sugar cravings. This will do it for sure. Cravings are partly a result of those two things, is the bacteria. You may have too much candida bacteria in your lower intestine, and those bacteria are seeking carbs. And so they that's the craving thing. That's one thing. The other thing is cravings are often because your body is missing critical nutrients. So the algae satisfies both of those issues because it has all the critical nutrients and there's no sugar, so it can get rid of the candida. It helps build a healthy gut biome. You can cook with it. You can make as I say, smoothies. Kids love it. If you turn it into a game for them, they'd love to chew it because their tongues turn green. So they think that's pretty funny. We have some moms that make happy faces with the tablets on their plates in the morning or tuck them into raspberries. If you make it a game and don't make it something that they need to have, they'll want it because you're taking it.
Would it be a good idea to take pre or post sauna after you mobilize some of the toxins? Then the chlorella can help bind and eliminate them?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that because we're working now a lot with the cryotherapy community. Now, for those who don't know exactly what cryotherapy is, you go into a chamber that's extremely cold for a very short period of time. And when you're in that cold, your body thinks it's dying because it's freezing. So it instinctively pulls all the blood from your extremities into your core to protect your organs. And then when the process is over, it releases all that blood flow. So the reason why you want spirulina and chlorella before and after, by the way, you want both of them, is because when the blood is moved from the extremities into the core, you have spirulina, spirulina gets absorbed faster. If you have the nutrients in your bloodstream, while all that blood is in your core, it's loaded with nutrients and oxygen. So it's healing your organs, your brain, and that's what you want because that's what a lot of people take it. Take the cryotherapy for healing purposes, reduction of inflammation, and algae is the best way to reduce inflammation. We've got tests about that. So so while the blood's in the core, it can do more benefit with the algae. And then when you, and because it's a vasodilator, it facilitates the blood moving faster into the core. And then when the cryotherapy session is over, the reverse happens. Again, it's a vasodilator, so the blood rushes out even faster. People love how they feel energized. It rushes to your blood. So it's, you have a little bit of autophagy, which is killing of the sick cells. It rushes to your blood to improve circulation and skin tone, brain focus, and of course, if there's toxins that were released in that process, the chlorella will chelate them and pull them out. So you get deeper, more meaningful results that last longer. How great is that?
Hard to beat.
Just up leveled. And the same, saunas are the red light therapy saunas are a little different there because the red light is known for reducing inflammation and increasing circulation and healing as well. The algae does the same thing in addition to the fact that when you blend the chlorophyll with either red light and or sunlight, it affects that mitochondria transport chain process and recycles the CoQ10. So in addition to elevating and up-leveling your healing and reducing your inflammation, you're increasing your ATP. By the way, the red light therapy is known for healing your mitochondria. And as you age, your mitochondria, you get less of them and they don't perform as well. And I will say, I was doing pretty well with my algae, but then I up-leveled with red light therapy and I'm on board full time. And I'm 65, by the way. I may have mentioned that to you earlier. Most people my age don't start companies. They're out golfing or lounging somewhere. But I have the energy to do this, partly because I'm so passionate. It fuels my energy. But it also has helped me look healthier and younger than I am. Most people think I'm 20 years younger, and I feel 20 years, maybe 30 even. So I am living proof that this stuff works. And I don't ever want to sound pitchy, but I just know that if more people could take this, they would feel the way I feel. They would feel the way the Japanese feel. Why should they be the only ones living long, living well, looking great, feeling great, right? We can too. And it's partly stopping certain things, which I know most of your listeners probably are, like stopping eating sugar, stop eating the white crappy stuff, and stop eating processed foods. But now you have to start adding things. You've eliminated things. Now you have to add things. And algae should be number one on your list because it works. It's science-based, and I am personal proof that it is worth doing.
Sold. You've convinced me. And now when I'm going to evaluate products, what do I look for? What sets ENERGYbits products apart from the rest?
Oh, well, thank you. Great question. So a couple things. I don't think you'll find a single algae company who is as passionate as I am, number one. Most companies who sell algae, let's face it, they sell maybe probably 100 other supplements. So it's just impossible for them to be the detail-driven kind of person that I am. So I'm looking out for your health because I didn't plan to start a company. I just wanted to help my sister. So everything I've done and all the choices I've made have been based on being helping people, not making a profit. So that's number one. Number two is you want to check the country of origin. Where is this stuff grown? 90% of it that you buy on the market comes from China, and they don't have as tight regulations about this. So you have to be very careful about the algae that's grown in China. Number two is, and so by the way, Taiwan is world renowned for having the highest quality algae. That's where we grow ours. But it's also grown in Japan, India. There's a little bit in Hawaii. It's starting to grow also in Greece and Spain, and they're experimenting. There's places that are growing it inside now with UV lights, and they call it fermented algae. I'm a bit of a purist, but who knows? In 5 or 10 years, as long as the quality is there, I'll experiment. But we grow ours in Taiwan. You also want to see if it's grown outdoors, as ours is, versus indoors, which is fermented, because you miss some of the chlorophyll concentration. You want to look for the strain of algae. There's spirulina. There's two strains. There's one called Spirulina plantensis, which is what we use. It's the higher quality, more protein, more chlorophyll. The poorer quality is called Spirulina vulgaris. So, and then with chlorella, again, there's two strains. The way they dry it, now we're probably one of the few companies that I know that do not use high heat to dry it. And I did that because I wanted to preserve the enzymes, because that keeps it easier to absorb and makes it more bioavailable. Almost everybody else uses high heat because they're a volume producer, low cost, low price volume producer. So they have to get to market fast. So they got to dry it fast. But that kills the enzymes and kills some of the nutrients. How they package it. We don't put any binders or fillers in ours. A lot of companies do. Or if you get any of those capsules, who knows what's in those capsules? I've got pictures of ground up rock. So you may get a great price, but it's not going to be as concentrated and you'll need twice as much. We're very proud that we don't put anything else in there. And then one of the other amazing things is that we're the only company that I know of that does third-party lab tests here in the US at an FDA-approved lab. Almost everybody else will have their lab tests, and we do too, done in the country of origin. But we sell through doctors and nutritionists and homeopaths and naturopaths, now spas, and they prescribe this to their patients. So they need to be 100%, 110% sure it's toxin-free, that the nutrients are what we say they are. So we do third-party lab tests here in the United States, and we provide those tests to there's 30 pages of tests to the doctors. Not to pat myself on the back, we're the only company that I know that makes knowledge and science and education and training of consumers and practitioners our number one priority. We want you to understand what the stuff is, why it works. I was on 150 podcasts last year. It takes a lot of time to do those.
Wow.
But I'm committed to helping people here enjoy the benefits and know why it works. I used to when I first started, I was speaking at triathlon clubs, and I would get heckled by the athletes because they would say, how can something with 1 calorie, because there's only 1 calorie per tablet, how can something with 1 calorie give me energy? Oh man, they were mean. And so, and that's when I was first starting, and I said, you know what? I'll have to get back to you on that because I don't know, but I found out and I wrote about 3 papers, and it's all, as I quickly went over some of it about the amino acids being individual and no cell wall and the vasodilator and the iron and blah, blah, blah. So I've known, and a lot of people have known the stuff's worked, but no one until we came along helped you understand why. When you understand the why, it makes so much sense. Truth is a funny thing. You finally know when you got it, but it's hard to get there. Yeah. Takes a lot of work. So I've tried to do the work for you And there's lots of research that you can dig in, but I have, in 11 years of me researching algae, I have not once found a fact about algae that conflicts with any other fact. I mean, this stuff, every day, it stuns me. It's like, oh my God, you do that too? It's like having a child prodigy.
Yeah. So walk us through your product line. I have a handful of them in front of me. I have ENERGYbits, I have BeautyBits, and I think I have VitalityBits. And how do you go about choosing which to buy? Because I want all of the above and more.
Well, the good news is ENERGYbits and BeautyBits are identical. They're just packaged differently because I wanted women to feel as comfortable making their purchase and using the product as men seem to be with the ENERGYbits. So as I said, someone said you've got a boy spirulina and a girl spirulina. They are absolutely identical. I'm not trying to fool anybody. I just want you to feel comfortable with your purchases. So those two are both spirulina. Now the chlorella, because it helps you recover from your day and recover from sports or recover from drinking or recover from illness, we called our chlorella recovery bits because I thought that was a lot easier to remember. And by the way, you may not know it, maybe you will, maybe you won't notice, but remember I said spirulina is a blue-green algae? Well, guess what? Energy is in a blue bag.
Easy.
And remember I said chlorella is a green algae? Boom, surprise, it's in a green bag. So I'm trying to help you remember what it is that you're getting. Now, so those are the first three. And then some people just can't buy 2 bags, or it's too much hassle or too much money. No problem, got you covered. We have a 4th brand called VitalityBits. And it is a blend of the spirulina and chlorella. And I don't know, I'll have to check my color wheel, but it's sort of a red burgundy color, which I believe could be a combination of the green and the blue. So VitalityBits it simplifies life. We find people who are older just want the simplicity, buy the VitalityBits. Now we sell them on our website in these large bags with 1,000 tablets. You can also buy them in large boxes like this. And inside the boxes are those single servings that you held up. And there's 30 tablets in the single servings. Now on Amazon, and you can buy a sample pack if you want, to get 1 of each single serving to test it out. We also sell the single servings individually on Amazon. They're $4 each. So if you have any doubt, I would urge you to go to Amazon, buy a couple of single servings, get prime shipping, small investment, $4, and then come back to the website where we have a 20% discount code. The discount code is NICURBAN, and that will give you 20% off anything you purchase.
And I did used to buy through a number of different brands on Amazon. I tried them. They were okay. Thought that was that. And then I had these and realized there's a big difference. There's a color difference, a smell difference, a taste difference. And all of a sudden, although they may have claimed to be doing things right on some of those, I'm skeptical, having seen that some of them disappeared off Amazon a couple of years later.
Yeah, we've been there 4 or 5 years. I'm a lifer here. I mean, I don't even pay myself. I mean, that's how committed I am to this. I will soon, I hope. But we know algae, because it's so science-based, because it's been used, because it's already a multi-billion-dollar with a B industry in Asia, Japan. It just needed to be explained properly, packaged properly, and the quality had to be improved. And it's going to be bigger than CBD, collagen. I mean, it's going to really, I do applaud Vital Proteins, I will say, who took collagen from being unknown to building it into a billion-dollar brand, and bravo and kudos to them. They got acquired last year. I think it was Nestle, for $1 billion valuation. But they put collagen on the map. So we're kind of like the company putting algae on the map. And now everybody knows collagen. And in 5 years, everybody's going to know algae too, which will be fine, because then I'll start a foundation and we'll start an algae academy and have certification in algae education. And, we'll do some really cool stuff. I hope to grow my own algae here. So I won't be quite as big as Disneyland, but I'd like to have a place for kids to learn how algae grows. And I mean, we have big plans.
I can say honestly that your passion radiates through every podcast I've heard you on.
Well, thank you. It's authentic. I will say that.
We've been going for a while now. I want to be respectful of your time and slowly start to wind down.
Yeah.
In this transition, I'll ask you a question that I ask all guests and see what your answers are.
Okay.
So imagine that there's a worldwide burning of the books. All knowledge on Earth is gone. You get to save the 3 most meaningful works to you. What would you choose? Are any books
I don't think there's any one thing that's made an impact on me. And it's just like as an entrepreneur, there's never one thing that you do that makes you successful. It's a thousand things that you do literally every day or every week. And so it's a process. And growth is a process. So I don't know. I can't answer that one. I'm sorry.
Let's move on to the rapid fire round. A couple more questions. What's the best or worst advice you've received?
The worst advice I had was don't do it. My family thought I was crazy because I had no science background, no nutrition background. The best advice I had was really from a close friend who said, look, if this is your passion, if you really truly feel this is what you need to do, then you need to go and do it. Doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense to anybody except you. And they were right. At the end of the day, you're the only one that you need to be proud of. And you go to bed with yourself. You were born into this world alone. You're going to die alone. And you're the one that's going to judge how you lived your life. Don't let anybody else do that for you. You give away your power when you do that. And we're all powerful people if we would just accept our own capabilities.
I like that. When someone tells you you can't do it, then you look elsewhere for someone to tell you they can do it and listen to that advice.
Yeah. Someone said, if you think you can do something, you're right. If you think that you can't do something, you're right.
Yeah. Catharine, what's one thing that the ENERGYbits tribe doesn't know about you?
Well, when I was in high school, I was a gymnast.
Oh.
I did the uneven bars, the box horse, the balance beam. I loved all of it. And I went to gymnastic camp even. So, and I'm still enthralled by gymnasts.
Yeah. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. I've tried doing L-sits and different things along those lines. I have like the rings, and I'm blown away by how much harder it is than they make it look.
Well, that's the true sign of a committed and individual. When I watched Simone Biles do her triple whatever somersault, that probably took her 8 years to refine 3 seconds in the air. And being an entrepreneur is like that too. When you finally get there, people think it was easy, and trust me, it's not. Someone once said an entrepreneur is like a duck sitting on the water. On the surface, they look like they're just gliding, but underneath their feet are just moving very, very rapidly. So if you want something in life, you can get it, but you have to be committed, you have to sacrifice, and you can never give up. So it depends on what you want.
Where can those that are interested connect with you or pick up ENERGYbits?
Yes, well, our website is ENERGYbits.com, ENERGY, B for boy, IT for Tom, S for Sam.com. And as I mentioned, we sell the large bags and boxes. We also have a sample pack. We're very active on social. Our main handle is @ENERGYbits for Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest and Twitter. We also have a second handle for BeautyBits, @BeautyBits. And we're sold the single serving. We sell most of the bags and boxes on Amazon, especially if you would just want to try them. But ENERGYbits, we write a really science-based blog every month. There's lots of research there and so much more. So do come and visit us at ENERGYbits.com. I don't think you'll be disappointed. We are a tiny company, though, so be kind if we're not perfect. Be patient, I would say.
And the links to their site and the Nick Urban discount code will be in the show notes for this episode.
Yes.
So, Catharine, how would you like to conclude our journey together tonight?
Well, I would just like people to know that algae isn't new. It's just new to you. And it's stood the test of time. It's been here for 4 billion years. So take some time to learn about it and understand it, and you will not be disappointed, I promise you.
Thanks so much for your time. It's been wonderful getting to know you, watching ENERGYbits evolve, and learning more about the science behind algae.
Yeah, you got it. Well, more to come.
I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the thumbs up. I love knowing who's in the 1% committed to reaching their full potential. Comment 1% below so that I know who you are. For all the resources and links, meet me on my website at mindbodypeak.com. I appreciate you and look forward to connecting with you. As a reminder, the information depicted in this video is for information purposes only. Please consult your primary healthcare professional before making any lifestyle changes.